Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. Sorry, I'm a few minutes behind schedule here, but I think we're all set up and ready to go now. I'm just going to wait for a quick check for some people that acknowledge that they can hear me and catch the video. Very good. Can hear and see. All right. All right. Right, maybe just presenting my screen now, and so just switch this back to duplicate. First duplicate this one. All right, well, we're going to go with that. Take out your devices using tech to enhance classroom interaction and participation. I'll introduce myself here, getting started. My name is Fabian. I'm the Assistant Professor of Biblical Studies here at Evangel University in our Bible and Theology Department. I am also the Assistant Director for our eUniversity office, which provides support for our learning management system. We do the administration for Canvas, is what we use here at Evangel. And so we also do a lot of training with faculty then when it comes to educational technology, using Canvas for both their seated and online courses, and help to kind of optimize the system there. So I'm a practitioner as a teacher, but I get the chance also to work with other teachers to show them how to use educational technology in various ways in their classrooms, whether that's online or on campus. What we're dealing with here is a situation where students are going to bring their own devices. So it's just kind of that BYOD is just a reality in many of your classrooms. You guys are familiar with that. You know how that works. It seems to me that our options in approaching this scenario are that we can, number one, try to compete with what students have on their devices, which, as you all know, that's a losing battle. There are kittens out there that are cuter and more exciting than what you could possibly present in your classrooms. And much more interesting things are the status updates and trending topics and all that other stuff. So to try to compete with all that is very difficult. The second option would be to police what the students are doing on their devices. And as you all know, that could be a full-time job in and of itself. I mean, you might as well give up teaching at that point because you're constantly running around class or doing spot checks on people's devices. And we know they're supposed to be using these things for educational purposes. But what are they really doing on them? Are they really taking notes? Are they really looking up things relevant to class? Or are they surfing the web, looking at YouTube, or perhaps playing games? It could be a serious distraction for them. So what I'm going to suggest as part of this presentation is that we leverage that technology to get them using their devices in the classroom as part of their learning. And to me, this goes beyond just a good classroom practice. What this is really about is helping students understand that that device that you have in your hand, whether that's a laptop in front of you, a tablet, or even a smartphone, that is a powerful device, and it's for more than just playing games and text messaging, emoticons to your friends. It can be used for professional development. It can be used for continual learning. And so what we're trying to do in the classroom is to model good use of that technology so that students understand this is a tool that can be used for collaboration. This is a tool that can be used as part of their learning. Hopefully that would be something that they would take from the classroom, that they will continue to use that technology appropriately as part of their learning. So what we're going to do is take a look at 3 different tools for you. The first one is Kahoot, and probably the best way to demonstrate Kahoot is to simply show you how to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click out of this particular session here. So let me see here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a web tour instead. So I'll show you guys what we're doing here. Actually, let me go back here. All right. So what I'm going to do is this link here. This way. All right, I hope you guys are following me here. I'm on my Kahoot page here, and I'm going to go to a Kahoot quiz called Innovation. I think we have enough people to where we can actually play this, and you guys should be able to follow along with it. So what I'm going to do is go through the steps of launching this so that you can play along with and score with one another here. So I'm going to launch the application, and it'll take just a moment to load. I love the message here. Get out your phone, get ready. What it's going to do is give you this game pin, okay? And what you can do is you need to go to Kahoot.it. There it is right there. I hope you guys can see that on the screen here. Kahoot, Kahoot.it. And that screen is going to give you a little place where you enter a game pin. And what you want to do is enter the game pin that's displayed here, 444855. And when you enter that game pin, then it's going to give you a chance to sign in and to just give yourself a name. So you can put in the name real quick there. I'm going to sign in here as well so that I can play along. 444855. All right, so a couple of you guys have gotten signed in, Jeremy, Jackie, myself, Sherry. And we'll wait to see if anybody else jumps in here. Check our notes here to see if anybody's. Okay. All right, I'm going to start this just so you guys can see what it looks like in action. Now, as soon as I click play on the main screen here, what you'll see on your device is that the questions are going to start loading up. And it's going to give you a question here. In this case here, it's a question about the printing press. And you would use your device then basically as a clicker to vote in for your response. If you selected the correct answer, it's going to award you points based on how quick you clicked in. So it's a possible 1,000 points. The faster you answer the right question, the more points that you get. And then after each question, what it does is it displays a leaderboard so that you can see who has the most points going into it. So you can continue to go through here. Leonardo da Vinci was inspired by birds and created this innovation. And again, you get the chance to use your device as a clicker and vote in your response. So this is a lot of fun in the classroom. You set it up basically as multiple choice type questions, but it is a great way for students to interact. And the fact that there's a leaderboard that's associated with each one. So we've got our answers in here, time's up, we'll show the responses. This gives you a chance actually to review the concept if you need to with your students. You get to see who has missed what, and you can continue through working through to see who's on there, who's on the leaderboard. If you, as I said before, if you answer the question incorrectly, then it will tell you whether you got that correctly. It records that for you. It also records this data in a downloadable spreadsheet so that you as the instructor, after you've done this in class, you can download that spreadsheet and look at the data to see how students respond to the question, what was the answer that was most missed. So it becomes something that you can use as part of your teaching as well. We'll skip to a couple questions here. Okay, it says I'm not seeing any questions on my screen. I'm trying to broadcast my the shot of my web browser, so I'm hoping that's what you guys are seeing in the presentation as well. All right, I'm going to end that quiz. Congratulations, Mr. Jeremy, you won. It gives a chance then for people to vote in terms of how they're learning and recommended, whether or not they, how they would rate it, give it a certain rating. And this particular quiz was not even one that I created. It's one that I found and was part of their public library of Kahoots. There are thousands of Kahoot quizzes that have been created and shared with the community through webinar. So if there's one that's, that you want to get in on and just use as part of your course, or you can copy that and make edits to it to fit what you would do in your classroom. So it looks like I lost my, okay, yeah, I guess I am presenting this time. All right, show the final results here. All right, for if you kind of missed what that looked like, there's a preview feature of Kahoot. I want to check to make sure that I'm still, is it still showing my screen there? Okay, so the preview feature allows you to like test the quiz just to see how it looks like. And what it does is it gives you a device here. It's kind of a mock device on the screen so that you could enter the game and you could actually go through the same quiz just using this device in order to see how that works. All right, let me go back to my presentation here. So let me switch real quickly here between programs. I apologize for a little bit of delay here. All right, here we go. Jump back to my PowerPoint. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about just some options here for what you can do with Kahoot. First of all, to get Kahoot, right, it's completely free to sign up. So the website I provided here, getkahoot.com, you sign up for your account and that will get you started as a Kahoot user. That way you can look at all of the thousands of quizzes that are already set up. Maybe you can find one that will work for your class. If not, you can create your own, setting up your own questions. You can use graphics in those. There is a text limit, so in terms of the size of the question, the length of the question, it's kind of like a Twitter type question. You get a character limit on the length of the question and on the length of the options. But just in terms of being able to create these on the fly, put those together as a review for your classes or as a way to introduce a new topic, it is really great. I wanted to show this link here, the ways to use Kahoot. And let me see if I can just navigate to that part of the website. All right, in Kahoot here, let's go to the Kahoot page. And it does show some different ways that you can use Kahoot. So let me copy that web address. Ways to play. So they've got a whole page on here, just different ways that Kahoot can be used as part of the classroom. And you can use it as a quiz. So we have instructors here on our campus of Evangel that actually are playing around with this, and they use it for a quiz in their class. So not just as a formative assessment, not just as a game to review, but actually to collect the data that you can then submit to your learning management system or whatever else, your grade book. So you can actually use that to facilitate a quiz, and the students are basically using their devices then as clickers to respond to the questions. You can use it for quizzes and discussions or surveys. You can use it, again, there's just different ideas here, formative assessments. And the great thing is that when it comes to Kahoot, they've even got, I was checking out under professional development, they have a whole set of resources that are available to you if you wanted to show other people at your institution how to use this tool. They've got a PowerPoint presentation that's set up with presenter notes so that you could actually take this and present that to colleagues at your institution, show them how Kahoot could be used as part of their classrooms. So it's a great tool. When I use this in my classes, as soon as I click on Kahoot, my students start going nuts. I do take a little time for the first time you show it, you have to walk them through it. But once you've done it once in your classroom, your students will love it. It gamifies their learning, it gives them something to compete against one another. I usually do not use it as a formal quiz, but as a way of reviewing concepts, introducing a new concept, or reviewing something that they've read. But it is a great way to just create that sense of competition. My students are never so engaged. I mean, we talk about like 8 in the morning, everybody's on the edge of their seat, ready to click in as fast as they can because I've played a Kahoot quiz in class. So it's really one of those tools that I would strongly recommend that you give it a try and play around with it. It is a lot of fun, and it's something that's really, it can be applied almost anywhere, whether you're using it in a higher ed situation or I've got daughters who are in elementary school, and they use Kahoot in K through 12, and you can tell by some of the graphics and colors and stuff like that, they like to keep it pretty broad in terms of its appeal. So it's a great tool to use for that. The next tool I wanted to demonstrate for you was Prezi. And rather than jumping back into the PowerPoint, I think I'm just going to go to Prezi to show you what can be done with it. And so what Prezi is, it is a Zooming presentation that provides for you and pretty much endless canvas that you can zoom in and out of in order to present material to your audience. It's all online. It has an online editor, and it allows for collaboration. And that's really the part of it that I want to demonstrate as part of this presentation, because it's great for getting students to work together on a project, contribute to a presentation. So what I like Prezi for, as opposed to like a PowerPoint presentation, is that Prezi allows you to show those complicated subjects, something that it might have a number of intricate parts where you need to keep in mind, here's the overall picture, but then you want to drill into the composite parts of that particular concept. Or you can do something like mind mapping, where you're connecting concepts that relate to one another and grouping those concepts by kind. Prezi is great for things like that. I use it for timelines because I like, in the classes I've been teaching primarily Bible and theology classes. So I've been using this as part of an Old Testament literature class, where one of the very first projects that we do as a class is a collaborative assignment where I have students work together on a timeline. And what I do is basically I create a template of the Prezi for them, but then students go in there and they contribute to it. So I'll show you what that looks like here. I'm going to go to the Prezi that I've set up. And this is one that I've created as a template. There are, within Prezi, there's a ton of templates which you can use, and they really get you off the ground with a great looking presentation where the structure is set up and the path of the presentation is set up. You just have to go in and customize the content. But this is one that I set up from scratch in order to accomplish what I was going for with this assignment. So just so you get a sense of what can be done with this, what I'm doing is just scrolling in and out with my mouse. And you can see, hopefully you guys can see how that is. So you're just scrolling in and out of this presentation. And I've set up a path for this presentation so that when I click the next button, it moves to the next item. And it's great because you can incorporate different kinds of media. So for your example, I've embedded some YouTube videos that are part of the presentation. And for this, what I've assigned to my students is that they contribute to the timeline with a sample like this. You can always zoom in and out of this presentation. But what I did with this is I took the major epics of the Old Testament and I just put them along a line. And what I have my students do then is go in and fill out all these different events and people along that line and help them get a big sense of what's going on in the Old Testament. But this can be done with any concept. So any timeline that you would be using, or whether you were looking at composite parts again of some longer, more complicated process, you can have your students working in groups to collaborate on an item like this in order to contribute to it. So how you do it, I'm not going to go through how the editor works with this presentation. There are great videos that they have on their page under this Learn and Support here that will get you up and running with how to use the editor. It's not complicated. As I said before, there's a lot of templates that can be used to get you up and running with a great looking presentation. But I wanted to show you how to add editors to this so that you can have people collaborating on this. And the nice thing is, since this is a web-based platform, you can actually get real-time collaboration with your students. So if I go in to just click the share button, what I can do at this point is add email addresses to people. And I can either make them the editor or the viewer of that particular Prezi. In this case, I've got an educational license for this, so this is again a freebie that I've signed up for. Prezi offers a little bit more functionality to people who are from educational institutions as part of their free account. So if you're looking to sign up for a Prezi account, I would encourage you to look for their EDU accounts. And I do that with my students as well. I have them use their student accounts to sign up because they get a little bit more functionality. Because they have some pro versions of this that include a desktop version of the editor. But I just go with the online editor. I go with the free educational version that they offer. And I'm able to add people from here. I just go through my course roster and add people in groups to as editors to this particular Prezi. And they get an invite then and with a link that they can follow. And if they don't have an account, they can set that up. But then that allows them to have editor access to this Prezi, which allows them to get in there and contribute to it. Again, I give them the parameters of here's what I want you to do, here's what it needs to look like, and so forth. I do that all in class. But so this is an easy way to do it. I copy and paste emails into that address right there and click the add button, and it will populate it with a list of students who then have editor access to that particular Prezi. And when they log into Prezi then and they click on your Prezis, that's the user, then it will show up there for them. They can access it, they can edit it, they can collaborate with it. I wanted to show you just kind of what that looked like as a finished product, because what I had, again, having students do that this semester to fill out that timeline with events and people from the Old Testament. Some of them will use Kahoot online courses. Kahoot probably wouldn't be the best thing for an online course because it really is that real-time collaboration. If you wanted students to just play around with that, you probably could have them do it, but they would be pretty much competing against themselves or competing against, anonymous people who are also playing it. It's really best for that in-class interaction and getting students to, again, use their devices as the clickers for that. Probably not as useful for an online presentation. So here's an example of, I wanted to show you with the Prezi here, that it just allows you, the students have gone and they've added, using the template and the instructions that I had for this particular assignment, they have filled out the timeline with all kinds of other information. And then that becomes, for at least for my class, a reference that we can go back to throughout the semester. And I can help them, hey, remember that work we did, remember where we are on the timeline, and it becomes a resource for our class. So Prezi is a great tool. I have been using Prezi for years now, and it is one of those tools that they just continually make better and better and easier to use. So I would strongly recommend that, particularly if you're redoing a presentation or you want to get students working on a presentation in groups, that Prezi would be a great tool to use for that. I'm going to pause here just to see if there's any questions about what I'm doing. Let's look at over the questions. All right, I don't see any new questions coming in, so I'm going to go on to, if you guys have more questions about Prezi or the accounts that are available, you can go ahead and continue to text those in, because I want to make sure that we answer the questions and address those. The last tool that I wanted to show you how to use is called Polleverywhere. And again, probably the best way to demonstrate this is by actually showing a poll. So what I'm going to do is click over to my Polleverywhere page. And I'm going to pull up the poll. Hopefully this will display to you. I'm still showing on my screen? Yeah. Is it? Yes. Okay. All right, the poll is, which of the following are you most interested in using in your classes? And I'm giving you four options there, really. Kahoot, Prezi, Polleverywhere, or I'm going to try them all. Now what you can do here, the instructions are listed here, is that you can either text your response in, and this doesn't require even a web browser, this is just standard text, where you would select the code of the option that you want to pick, and you would use that code and text that code to 37607. So it's just like sending a normal text message. You would go to your text messaging tool or app, and the address, the number that you're sending to would be 37607, and then you'll just select the code that you want to use as a way of texting that in. If you have a web browser, you can also just go over to my Polleverywhere page, pollev.com/Fabian, and this poll should show up there. Now, as you can see here, I've already got a couple of responses for this poll. So what I'm going to do is just switch over to the chart. And what this will do in real time is show those responses as they come in. This is great for in-class. If you're looking to gather first impressions on a particular topic, or if you want to poll your students on some controversial issue, or you can even use this in sort of a quizzing feature where you're trying to see if they know the right answer to the question. But it's a great way to get real-time feedback for what your students are, how they're processing the information, get their opinion on some topic, or so forth. So in this one here, it looks like a lot of people are very interested in using Kahoot, which I fully support. Kahoot, as I should have said this before, it is just web-based, so you don't need any apps or anything else. All you need is that web browser to get to the Kahoot.it page. And students don't need to create any kind of account or sign in or anything. They just put in a nickname in order to sign in with that. Prezi will require students to sign up with an account, but the advantage there is you get to let them collaborate together on a project. Polleverywhere, as you can see here, some of you guys are just texting in. You're not having to sign up with anything or download any software or anything like that, but you're able to participate, respond to this poll, and it's collecting that information for me. I have on Polleverywhere, again, I'm using a free account with Polleverywhere. Like some other services, they offer a little bit more features with an educational account. And there are still some limitations on that. So I can collect with this poll up to 40 responses. After 40 responses, it will shut down the poll. I'll still have the data there, but I don't get more than 40. That works for me because most of the time my classes are not that big. They're usually between, my largest classes will be right up to 40 students. So that works well. I'm able to use these polls as part of my class. But if you have a large lecture hall or you have some kind of large event, then they have paid versions of Polleverywhere that will accommodate larger venues. So this is an example here. Thank you guys for responding to that. Several of you saying, hey, I'm going to try them all. And then a few saying that they were interested in Kahoot. But with this is an example of a multiple choice polling question, where I'm presenting the question and you select the answer and decide which one you want to use. What I'm going to do is show them a different type of poll, and it is a free text poll, but it's a specific kind here. So what I'm actually going to do is just throw this full screen for our presentation. And the question is, what 3 words come to mind when you think about innovation? Let me make sure this is on my Polleverywhere page. Again, what you're going to do with this one, a little different. You're still going to text it 237607, but you need to have that number 78894 in the body of your text, and then 3 words, so you can separate those by spaces in the text message. Or again, you can go to my Polleverywhere page and use that as a response. But I'm just looking for 3 words here that come to your mind when you think about innovation. We'll see if we can get some responses on this one. What it does is I have this set to generate a word cloud based on the responses that come in. So this is a great tool for, again, reviewing concepts with students, or I'll use this as an introduction. What do you think of on this particular topic? And just let students brainstorm on it. But what it does is it collects those 3 words, and based on the words that occur with the highest frequency, it will generate a word cloud so that you can see how students feel about that particular subject. We'll wait a few seconds here to see if some more responses come in. If you only get one person's response, that's not too exciting. But when you have a whole group of people, a whole classroom full of students who are responding to your questions, then you start to see how their ideas shape, and it will adjust in real time as those responses come in. Now, while you guys you're probably still working on texting in your response to that poll question, I'll talk a little bit more about how I use this in the classroom. Polleverywhere has an app, so this is something, again, they can text in as is, just using the code here. They can also, you can create a poll and you can set it up where they can respond via Twitter. You can set it up to where they have to sign in order to respond, and that allows you to kind of track who's responding to what. So there are a number of ways in which you can customize how students interact with the poll, and then how that data is shown also. So with this one here, I can hide this word cloud while I'm waiting for responses to come in, and then reveal it once I have. At this point here, I have 4 responses, and if I click over to the word cloud at that point, then it will show the work of it. So students can use just normal text message. They can go through the website. They can do it through Twitter, or they can use the Polleverywhere app, which is on iOS and Android. So there's a number of ways in which they can participate in these polls. One of the best features about Polleverywhere that I really like is the fact that you can embed these polls right into your PowerPoint presentation. So we got a few more responses coming in still with this poll, but I want to show you guys how that can be done in PowerPoint. So let me stop this part of the presentation to switch over to a different, over to PowerPoint. All right, I hope you're able to see my PowerPoint here. So we've been talking about live audience participation with Polleverywhere. And what I wanted to show you how to do was how to embed that PowerPoint poll right into your presentation. So if I go into Insert in PowerPoint, what I'm using here is an Office app that can be downloaded from the Office store, plugs right into your PowerPoint instance. And so I'm selecting that, and it will put that poll right in there. Now from here, I can create a brand new poll and make it part of my presentation. Or I can search my library of polls that I've already created or maybe have used in another semester, in another course. I've got probably 50 different polls in my poll library. There's no limit to the number you can have in there. but they're active for a little while and then they get locked. But you can go in there, you can clear the results, you can use it again. So a number of ways you can do that. So let me look at, I set up another one here. Which of the following, yes, this is the question I wanted to use. So if I do another poll, this was a poll that I set up just yesterday because I wanted to use it as part of the presentation. So this poll is live, it's active. I can go ahead and push it again to my poll app page. You guys can respond to this one as well. What I usually do is I just resize the poll to fit this insert to fit my PowerPoint presentation. And the question is, which of the following best fits your policy for devices in the classroom? Now, option number one, not in my classroom, buddy. Option number two is just we just hope and pray that they're doing something constructive. I hope they're taking notes, but ignorance is bliss, right? The option number three, I sometimes incorporate device use into the classroom. Or option number four, I regularly put them to use using their devices in the class. So this is, again, something we can respond to. A response just came in, so I'm going to switch this over to the chart so that we can track those as they come in. Another response just came in. But if I'm presenting this as a PowerPoint, again, all of this is live. And I guarantee you the first time you do this in class, you tell your students, hey, take out your cell phones, take out your devices. I want to hear from you. Your students will light up for the chance to be heard in that way. The nice thing about Polleverywhere, it does allow a sense of anonymity in their poll responses. So if you really want to know, do those students do that reading? If you really want to know, just self-assess. Do you understand this concept? Rate yourself along this scale. Or if you want to open it up for questions and allow students to text those questions in, again, there's that sense of anonymity in which they can express themselves in a way that maybe they won't if they're required to raise their hand in the classroom. So this is a great tool. I use this regularly as part of my classes. Probably one question that may come up would be about censoring the material, and that is something that is an issue. That's why I like to control it with some multiple choice questions. You got to build rapport and trust with the class before, if you really ask them what they think, they just may tell you what they think. And so you got to be wise in how you use this. There are features of Polleverywhere, the paid features that allow for moderation of responses if you wanted to do that. But allowing students to text questions has been a great thing and allows them to be heard, allows them to participate, and that brings life to your presentations. So I'm looking again at the questions and comments just to see if everybody's still tracking with me. So if you have questions, again, I'm looking at that. Just feel free to text those in. So just so I can demonstrate it one more time here is that the Polleverywhere is an Office app that can be plugged in with PowerPoint. If you just come into your Office apps under the insert, I happen to be using Office 2013. You can insert those apps just from the Office store, select ones that you want to use, play around with different ones. Microsoft makes some other apps for polling that are part of PowerPoint. I don't think they're very good, but I found Polleverywhere. It's one of those tools I have used for years now, and it just keeps getting better and better. When they first rolled it out, it was all flash media, so it did not render on any devices other than your standard PC web browser. And they redesigned it. It's all HTML5 now, so we show on people's devices. They develop the apps. They have multiple ways in which you can get the material and include it in an existing presentation, or embed that in a website, or use the link and use that as part of an online course. So this is one of those tools that I have actually used to collect some opinion-type data from students in an online course. And you don't get the same probably wow factor because it's not necessarily synchronous, or if it's coming in. But students are still able to cast their vote, and then you're able to collect that information and share that back with them. I wanted to put up my contact information just in case some of you guys had questions following the presentation about any of these. So I'd be happy to follow up with you if you have any questions about using Kahoot Prezi or Polleverywhere. All of these, as I've said, are, I'm using the free accounts on all of these. I've not paid a cent for any of the usage that I've done with these, but they are great tools for getting your students active in the classroom, using their devices. They're not the only tools out there, I should say. There are a number of other great tools that can be used to get your students using their devices in the classroom. I am constantly discovering new ones. I found one the other day that I think may even be better than Kahoot. It's so much fun to play with. It's called Quizzes. So I'd encourage you to get out there and look at these different options, but find ways to get your students active and using their devices in their classrooms. You'll find that it changes the whole atmosphere of what they're doing in the class. They appreciate the opportunity to be active in that way and contribute. But it also allows you to do some really creative things, just to be able to review concepts and gather feedback and getting them collaborating with one another. So I'm going to pause here again just to look and see if we have any other questions that come in. Word cloud would be a fun way to collect student feedback about the course, absolutely. So, you know, this is midterm. We're entering that kind of last leg of the class. So if you wanted to have something, you know, 1 or 3, in fact, I've done that with the class. I will usually at the end of the class put up one where it's just a free text where students get to text in their responses, and they can, at that point, you know, what's the one thing you're going to take away from the study of this subject? That is a great way to close the class, review some main concepts, and also get a sense of how students have engaged in various topics. Somebody suggested using the idea of a scavenger hunt for students using devices in the classroom, and that would be a good thing to do. So, for instance, that perhaps using Polleverywhere with their free text option. So if you had students looking for a web search or looking for a particular resource or something like that, they could then text that into that poll with the URL or something like that. That would be a good way for them to collaborate and share some resources with one another as live synchronous collaboration. So my email address is there, and you guys are welcome to email me at fabian@evangel.edu. If you have any follow-up questions to this presentation, again, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction when it comes to using these particular tools. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's MarkJFab, and occasionally I'll post some things on there that relate to me, but you can reach out to me through Twitter as well if that works for you.